Welcome back to Leading Our Own Way. I'm Andrew White. And if you caught part one with my mate Natalie Beatty on Monday, and hopefully yesterday's Tuesday Truths, where I highlighted some of the powerful moments we shared, you're going to know we were diving deep into some pretty important territory around mental health, education, and authentic living. Now, in part two today, Nat's about to get even more real with us. We're talking about some of the toughest challenges life can throw at you. Becoming a single parent, dealing with multiple sclerosis diagnosis, and how loss can completely reshape your world. But here's the thing about Nat. She doesn't just survive these experiences, she transforms them into wisdom and strength. It's beautiful. We're also going to explore something that really hits home for both of us. Growing up in working class in Manchester, the impact of poverty on self-esteem, and how those early experiences shape who we become. Natalie's got some incredible insights. She's so smart, by the way. She's incredible insights about the difference between resilience and vulnerability, something that really opened my eyes on the difference of those as well, especially when it comes to education and personal growth. And if you're wondering where all this leads, well, Nat's got some amazing aspirations for the future, making mental health services more accessible and teaching kids active listening skills in school. This woman is on a mission. It's brilliant, and her story is absolutely inspiring. So let's jump straight back into this powerful conversation with Natalie Beatty. Here's part two. Maybe before we do go there, for anyone that has been or is going through or potentially about to go through separation, single mother, how did you get through? Because how did you get through those areas of your life with the leadership that you had, two young children at home, stuck in that dark space? I know you said you stuck into work and you used that, but if I was, I don't know, a friend or a fly on the wall, what would that Natalie have looked like at that time?
Me, I think, my study, my personal therapy was really important at that point because I felt that I'd failed, that my family didn't work and I'd failed. And failure links to that horrible core belief or faulty core belief of I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time and don't get me wrong, it pops up now.
Yeah.
Pops up now. It's always going to be there. Scars at the end of the day. But it will pass. It's for that moment, those feelings. We have to accept those feelings and sit with them, as awful as it is. But it will pass.
And
but
before you
the
met,
choices you make, you need to make choices. Like the choices that I made all of those. I picked that phone call up to my head teacher, like you, this isn't personal. They've got a job to do. But I realised that education just didn't have the same values as me. People were lost.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, people were just their job, and I couldn't sit with that anymore. It was a really hard time of my life, huge changes. And there isn't, people ask, well, what advice could you give? Speak, like you said, speak to people, but be prepared to sit with those uncomfortable feelings, but know they are going to pass. And not all thoughts are truths either. And when a relationship ends, you personally have not failed.
So those deeper insecurities of yourself then, you briefly mentioned that it kind of it was a lot deeper space. It's probably from your childhood. What was, I remember us talking, and obviously we went a little bit deeper on the pre-chat. Your childhood, you wasn't really a child in your childhood, were you? What was your life like as a teenager? Can you touch on that for us?
Yeah, well, I'm the eldest of five. I'm the eldest of five of us, and there's a 10-year gap between me and the very youngest. So, naturally, the role that I took up was mother's helper, and my mum was a single parent. So, when she got divorced from my dad, that was when she had two children, me and my sister, and then she met somebody else and had three more children. And when that relationship ended, mum was on her own with us. And that was a really tough time financially. It was an incredibly tough time for mum personally. But in terms of me, the adultification of me happened at that point, where I would not go to school because I'd be helping out at home, where I saw myself as an adult when I was a child. When people say, oh, she's an old head on young shoulders, that's kind of the worst thing you can say to a child, because you're denying them a childhood. They're not an old head on your young shoulders. That's a load of nonsense. They're not at all. They're burdened by responsibility, perhaps.
How were you burdened on a daily basis then?
I'm choosing not to use the word burden for me, because
you were helping and you felt it was the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, but I felt that therefore helping, being useful, gave me worth.
Yes.
And that stuck with me my entire life. Being a servant of others gave me worth. Now, I know for anybody who might be listening going, it's a bit ironic, you become a therapist. Yeah. Okay, I'm a helper. I can't help that. I can't help that I'm a helper. It's in my hard wiring now. You spoke about you myelin before. Mine's pretty locked in too. I'm
myelinated,
a helper.
Yeah.
But I help in a healthy way now. I help
Yes.
in a boundaried way. I help in a way that helps others and not serving any misunderstood need on my part. And
yeah,
I was always looking for external validation of, is this enough? Am I working hard enough to help you? If I do more around the house, will it make you feel more calm? And again, I can't go into too much stuff because it's personal to that other person, but
yeah,
it really, it did give me skills that I have now in terms, when they use the word resilience, I think that's a really problematic word now as well, because resilience means that that young person's so resilient. No, they can't be. They've not had the experience to become resilient. We take, I think we spoke about this in the pre-chat too, didn't we? In schools now, it's on the tagline of every school in the UK, it seems to be, about being resilient.
Yeah.
And actually, when you're being resilient, you're just asking somebody to suck it up. You're not resilient. You're being traumatized. Thinking about the different trauma responses that we can have. That young person perhaps is being, taught to go into freeze mode. Not being resilient, or fawn. What more can I do? What more can I do? Fight or flight, everyone knows about. But perhaps they're actually in a trauma response because of what they've been given. Children aren't naturally resilient.
You've got to allow, I think, to build resilient. We do a lot of, here I've experienced a lot of places doing a lot of role plays and talking about being resilient. And that's fine. I'm not saying that's not powerful, but it's not the only thing. What we need to do is allow these kids to struggle in a healthy space, in a healthy way. If the child's drowning, of course I'm going to pull them out. So, be resilient, save yourself. No. But it's the simple things in life. There's not much delayed gratification anymore. Answers are there. Brains don't have to work. We're allowing kids to be distracted. We're allowing kids to feel every deep single emotion or question their emotions. Again, I don't have a huge problem with that, but I do think we're overthinking it to the next level. But also, how I say it about schools, if a kid can't figure out the answer, don't give it to them. Give them the tools to be able to figure out for themselves. If they can't find a pencil, don't give them a pencil. Get them to find a pencil. I say it to them all the time. I say, look, I'm not being mean. I'm doing it because I need you to stand up and go and find it for yourself and not keep asking me to get it for you. I'm not here to give you a pencil. I'm here to care and have a laugh with you and support you and love you and teach you and guide you and give you the life skills that I want. I want you to be prepared for when you don't get that job when you're older. Because if you don't get prepared for that, you might go into depression. There's going to be plenty of jobs these kids are not going to get when they're older. That sounds horrible, but there is. How many jobs have I not got?
Well, yeah.
A lot.
And I think that in terms of expecting that people should be resilient, this is where, resilience is strength, fortitude. These are things that are taught through experiences. They're not something you can just imbibe, because actually what we're asking kids to do perhaps is be passive. Be resilient will actually be passive to the feelings that you're experiencing right now. I'm being bullied, but I'm going to go to school every day. Check me out being resilient. You're not. I was working with a client yesterday, and we're about to do some inner child work with them. because they were bullied so extensively for 3 years, every single day, non-stop. But they went home and they cooked the family dinner, and they got back on that school bus every day, and they went to school and didn't tell anybody a soul. Oh yeah, that's resilience, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
actually, no, it's not. That's somebody being deeply wounded again and again and again.
Yeah,
And
I'm
that's
experiencing that.
growing up now in the 40s. So it's a problematic word, without a doubt.
Yeah, my son 2 weeks ago actually got jumped by 6 boys at his school.
God. Is he all right?
Yeah, no, he is fine. I've never once said be resilient to him. I've been very mindful of that. No, suck it up, get on with it, be tough. Not said that to him at all. We've allowed him to sit in everything that he's sat in, needed to sit through. Obviously, I've advocated for him. I've given the school tools, and even mental health advocates from guests that I've had on the podcast. I've given them the tools to take on. I've had people from Melbourne willing to come down and support the school and go and speak to the teachers of professional development.
Wow.
From the podcast who are advocates for bullying, anti-bullying, and you know what I mean, not supporting it, mental health for boys and men and domestic violence, all that type of thing. It's absolutely been incredible, and I've handed it to them to take on, and they've been. I can't fault the school; they've been absolutely brilliant. However, I've not turned around and said to him, "Be resilient," and he's actually thrown up quite a few times. It's been 2 weeks now, and he's still, at basketball, he'll need to go to the toilet and things like that. And he's living in that fight and flight, right? His body, he doesn't understand it. He just thinks he's ill. But even at 32, when I was going through it, 3 out of the 5 mornings, I'd throw up in my front garden before I got in the car. It's because I was going to the jungle, and I didn't know when the tiger was. I knew the tiger was going to be there, and I knew I was going to see and speak to the tiger, but I didn't know what that tiger was going to do to me that day. So that was my body speaking to me. But I, at 32, thought I had gastro because I was throwing up for no reason.
I think this is it then around resilience, when we're telling adults as well to be resilient. The antonym, the opposite of resilience, is to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. How would it be different? How would our world be different if it was okay to be vulnerable? Because vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. Vulnerability just goes, I'm asking for help here. Vulnerability can lead to weakness if you're not helped or listened to. But why are we not able to say to people it's okay to be vulnerable? Because in therapy, you're in a state of vulnerability, and guess what gets thrown up? All the stuff that has been unresolved, the feelings that were never listened to, the needs that were never met. Therapy provides that space to meet unmet needs, to listen to feelings that weren't felt before, for somebody to share their story and be vulnerable and to have their space held, and for that to be good and to be okay. So wouldn't it be great if that started systemically with kids? It's okay to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
For me, that's something that I consider when I'm talking to my own kids. Sometimes I just need them to get to school. Just
of course,
okay. Your hair looks fine. My eldest. Right, it's fine. No one's going to see the Nutella on your tie. It's fine. Off you go. Right. Friday's Nutella.
That's what you think.
That's what you think. I think she puts it there so she can have a little lick. Break time.
Probably.
Anyway, it's terrible. Why did I have to act that out? I don't have Nutella on me now.
That's what she does in the office, everyone.
That's the highlight of the show, is it?
I didn't actually see it because I'm looking up here. I'll wait till I look back.
All right.
You're down there in my eyes. I'm looking up here.
Well, guest licks herself. Only now I'm leading our own way.
Hey, that could be the title. I'll get number 1. You'll go to number 1 straight away.
Yeah, but in the wrong type of viewership. I should imagine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hilarious.
Should we move on? But yeah, so wouldn't that be wonderful if we could offer vulnerability?
So with your vulnerability, then it's you're going back to our Denton days. I remember you saying, and these are your words because I'm looking at the notes, but you did say you were living in the council area of Denton. It was very weird because you go from one street, which isn't council, to the next street that is council. Yeah. Just paint that picture because I remember also you saying you didn't realise your own poverty until a certain point. And I thought
No,
that was quite interesting when you shared that with us.
no, I really didn't. So yeah, we were living in a council estate, and in the council houses. So our rent obviously was paid for us by the state because of our financial situation. Where people opposite us may have bought their council houses round the corner, there was the new builds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just thought that was normal because we'd always not really had a lot, to be honest. But then as I got older, I realised that really we sometimes it was dire straits, you know. So I remember there was a school trip. I mean, you'd never do this now, bloody hell, you'd never do this now. So there was a school trip to Alton Towers, and our head of year said, "Can you put your hand up if you can't afford it?" And I knew we didn't have a penny,
Oh,
you know, because and I put my hand up like that, and I looked around, and I was the only bugger with their hand up, and I knew I wasn't the poorest kid in the room, or there would be kids who were struggling as much as us. But we'd have to go and get food on tick from the shop. So on tick is where, you know, I'll give you on Friday when I get my benefit in. Or we'd have to do stuff like that. We'd have imaginative dinners where it would just be all random odds and sods. You'd never be able to go to the cupboard to help yourself to food, ever. They'd be earmarked for days in advance. Or it simply wouldn't be there, you know, because it just wouldn't. It's the impact that has on somebody. And it's not to say the parents aren't doing enough, but the impact is what society says about poverty. You know, the narrative of poverty is you're poor because you've not worked hard enough. Margaret Thatcher said that. People are working themselves out of poverty, which is a load of nonsense. You can't work out poverty. Poverty is designed to keep you in it. The education system's designed to keep you in your place. The meritocracy that education's meant to offer you, well, it's simply not there. You know, we live in a tiered academic system. If you go to state school, if you're the top of your class, you'll do all right. Well, you know, let's look at the statistics of that. I know that my story is not usual. You know, things are designed to keep us down. The tax we pay, the fact that in the UK people can't buy a house anymore. Even if you are considered middle class and you have a good wage, you can't buy a house. You know, you've got not doctors, you've got nurses and teachers that use food banks in our country. Nurses and teachers use food banks, right?
that's insane.
It is insane. It's insane. But poverty is such a dirty word because it's associated with laziness. It's associated with dirtiness, with shame. And those are the internalized things that people who are poor hear, and it affects your self-esteem, and it's corrosive, and it really affected mine hugely. You know, when I thought I'm always comparing myself to other people, not good enough, not good enough. It just sticks with you forever until you do something about it. And even when I went to university, you know, I did my access course, and I put myself through uni, full loans, worked all the way through, still paying it off now, 20 years later, and I will be probably for another 20 years. But I had such a chip on my shoulder. You know, people that had a certain accent, you know, they don't have a northern accent like me. They might have been from the north, but there's a middle class accent, Cheshire accent. I'd have a chip on my shoulder. I think that they were looking down on me, but it's actually me looking down on them because I was coming from a place of inferiority. You know, I thought that I wasn't clever enough or good enough. It was the good enough. And this is where poverty shame is so corrosive. You know, when you're given these false messages that work hard, you can work your way out of poverty. Absolutely not. As I say, the economic systems that are fully entrenched in our society are designed to keep us where you are or put you down a little bit further. And that's not Illuminati stuff. That is looking this. You know, a friend goes, that's not true. I worked hard and I did well. Well, you know what? Yeah, you're an exception now. Because if you were to speak to most kids where I grew up, well, what are you doing now? I'm not putting down their lives. I'm saying mine's better in any stretch of the imagination. What I'm trying to say is the opportunities are limited.
Yeah.
They are limited opportunities. You know.
So with your childhood then, what would you change about it if you could? And what good have you taken from your childhood?
Well, I genuinely would change nothing because it wouldn't bring me to where I am now. I wouldn't change anything, you know, because every action has a reaction. So say things were different. Say we had a nuclear family. Say we went on family holidays. Say we had a car. Say things were always peaceful at home. Say mum got the support she deserved or needed. That would have changed everything. And I wouldn't even know what today would look like. So I can't answer that. What would I change? Ask me the other question again.
What good did you take from your childhood? But I feel like that's, you've kind of answered that in a way.
What good?
Is it being a good mother? Is it the fact that you've arrived at being present and having clarity?
I think for me, it's the importance of a childhood's experience is what I took from it, is understanding that. And I strive to be the best mum I can be for my girls because I know the impact of where that falls short, the impact that has on a child.
So do you feel like you missed out on childhood?
Yeah, in quite a few respects.
If I was a fly on the wall in your house and you should have been at school, what would have I seen in those times?
Me doing housework, me taking my younger siblings to primary school or picking them up, me going doing the shopping, and then me sat on the couch having a toastie with my mum watching daytime television, completely not being where I should be or doing what I should be doing, but completely normalised because that was the need at the time. And that was again where it became a little bit locked in, where the needs of others were always greater than my own.
Yeah.
And that has taken a very, very, very long time. One, to know what those needs were, because they were so buried and hidden. So what were those needs that were unchecked? I have huge periods of my childhood. Like when I see my friends that I went to secondary school with, they remember things. I have huge periods where it's just complete dissociation, and it is dissociation. I don't use that word lightly. I just don't remember.
What was one of those memories that has got you and go, oh, wow, I didn't even know that?
Just like people's names, events at school, and they were like, no, Nat, you were there. We do remember you were in this day.
In this
day. The stories my siblings tell me about what happened when we were growing up. My younger siblings, I'll go, don't remember that. But it was locked in for them.
There's one that you shared that we said we would share. And I don't know if you remember it. And if we're not, you can obviously just say, let's not do it. But there's something that you said about a hair comment.
Hair?
Yeah, there was a hair comment. Was it somebody at the door? And somebody commented on your hair and you'd had it.
Oh my God, no. This was a girl that I went to school with.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was a poverty shame story.
Yeah. I thought it tied with that. Yeah.
Yeah, just basically it was a girl that I went to secondary school with who made fun out of my hair because my mum used to cut my hair. And one time my dad did when I went at the weekend. Well, that is another story. But mum used to cut my hair because we couldn't afford to go to a hairdresser's. People come to school with highlights or like the 90s pixie crop and, I'd do my own fringe or mum would cut it for me. And so this girl just really took the mick out of me. And she knew I had no money. She'd been to my house. Like, I went to 3 different primary schools because we moved around quite a lot when I was younger. Or was it 4? Anyway, more than one. And yeah, she knew my family situation. So I made a comment to her saying, well, your hair looks like your mum's done it because it's all wiggly like that. What's up with your mum? Has she got like shaky hands or something? And I knew nothing that her mum actually did have a medical condition. I knew no idea about that at all. I was just trying to fight fire with fire because I felt really embarrassed. We're in this maths lesson. I knew my hair didn't look as great as other kids, and I felt so self-conscious about that. I was a teenager. Well, I was about 13. And I actually moved to the secondary school after I went to a different secondary school first, Two Trees, where your last guest came, for the first year. But I really struggled, just low self-esteem. Just, again, that's another situation itself. But so I went to a different secondary school with some girls that were from my primary school that I ended up at for year 6 when we moved back from Southampton. Anyway, this mum turned up at our house, went, "What have you said about me? After all I've done for you, we've taken you to the pub to watch football." Looking back now, going, "What, you took me out for the afternoon while you drank beer and I could play with your daughter is what you did." But
Yeah.
I was meant to feel grateful that I've been given this afternoon out. After all I've done for you, when you live like this. And I just, there's no carpet on the stairs and wood chip on the wall. My mum's house was like a pulp song. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it was just crap. It was just really crap. And that was like, so the things that I think about myself, it's true, other people think them too. And then that's when the layers of onions started being formed, I think.
Yeah.
What masks can I wear to not feel like that ever again?
What mask do you think you put on the most?
The work mask, like, the title of my work.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. I can cope with anything. Don't worry, I snap. She'll do it. I'll be the first to volunteer. They were the big ones that I kept around me for a long time.
Pleasing people.
Oh my God. People pleasing, perfectionism. When I see clients play this stuff out now, I was blind to it, and you can see their eyes lighting up, going, "Oh God, I do that." And actually, a lot of that links to a flight trauma response. And when I think about some things that happened in my childhood that I don't feel comfortable to share right now, but the trauma response was always flight. I was like mongoose mode, panic mode all the time, and I kept that with me. Trying hard, perfectionism, please others, don't look at me, don't see my vulnerabilities, just panic all the time, and like hummingbird speed. And I caught myself doing it yesterday, funnily enough, but at least I know what's going on now. So it's the end of the summer holidays, as I say, I've got both my daughters at work. I had 3 clients booked in. I had 2 phone calls I needed to have at the college to prepare for the next cohort coming in. And I was just, and then all of a sudden I start making spaghetti bolognese. Why would I do it? That's mental. Do you know what I mean? That's me. Instead of sitting with the feeling of being discomfort, the discomfort of going, all right, what needs doing? Make some choices. This is what I'm trying to say. If you ever find yourself doing stuff, bit of self-compassion I had for it then. And I just had to stop, tap out. Why are you doing this? What are you sat with here that's uncomfortable? What's making you feel like you've got to throw the kitchen sink at it again and start growling at your kids and feeling panicky? What is that? And what it was, when it boiled it down, it was the thought of going back to work and how do you manage everything again after the summer holidays? I can do it, and I can do it healthily now. But it was that old going back to school panic feeling that had been 16 years. I mean, I've been lecturing now for 2 years at the college. It's not as if this is new work for me and this is natural, new job anxiety. It's not. It was that going back to school feeling. That's what it was. And I was like, right, sit with it then. Why are you making a spag bol while you're on the phone to a colleague? Keep an eye on the clock. You've got a client coming over here. Madness.
It is madness.
It is, but I recognise it, and that's where self-compassion comes in. We said, the importance of self-compassion. To go, you know why this is, sit with it, because it's okay, it'll pass. And that's what I never was able to do before.
So when do you think you got your stuff together?
See, I deep in take a breath there. I don't know. Do we ever get our stuff together? Or I would argue that we get a sense of awareness. I think it's about knowing yourself. It's know thyself. As the Greek philosopher Socrates said, know thyself. If you know yourself, you can befriend yourself, you can be kind to yourself, you can champion yourself. For me, that know thyself, it's the understanding of the self. That is having your shit together.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody says, I have my shit together, they don't. They're probably trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
Because nobody does. They don't.
Yeah.
You just know thyself. That
When
is having your shit together.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's so true, and it changed my perspective on that. And it also, you hear that like midlife crisis. It's not about, I don't mean necessarily going buying a motorbike or anything like that, but that midlife crisis you hear quite a lot. And one of my previous guests, Trav Bell, the bucket list guy, is like the number one bucket list guy in the world. And he had a lot of science around it, travels the world speaking about it. And he actually said on it, and it made me change it because people tend to make changes in midlife, and that's why it's midlife crisis. But he said, why does it have to be a midlife crisis? And I'm going to screw this up now because I've not quoted it correctly, but he said, why does it have to be a midlife crisis? Why can't it just not be a life awareness? Like, I'll have to go back to the episode to check it out, but yeah, why does it have to be midlife? Why is it not just self-awareness, life point in time, or life awareness?
Without a doubt. I've not read that book. But if that's the vibe, I think I might give it a go because, yeah, like, why does it have to be in crisis?
Yeah, here it is. I interviewed that guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll give that a look because.
And he talked about midlife crisis, and then he said it on the podcast as the episode, and I just found it powerful as shit.
Why does it need to be at midlife? Why does it need to be at a point of crisis? Because what midlife suggests is wisdom. Now you can grow wise at many points in your life, and at those points of wisdom where you think, do you know what? I've just had a real experience there. What can I learn from it? That's wisdom. This has happened. What can I learn from it? Instead of thinking, what's it taken away? How has it bruised me? What can I learn from it, actually? And therefore, that is adding to your self-awareness. That to me is the most important key, as I say, of having your shit together, because at least I know all my parts.
Yeah,
or most
absolutely.
I'm sure there's a couple of exiles hiding away, but I know myself. I know when I'm feeling things, it's because of X. I know when I do certain behaviors, it's in response to something. But, Viktor Frankl said this, between stimulus and response, there's always a space for reflection to make a choice. There's always the space for choice. And we don't always have to keep doing what we've always done. We don't, and if that stimulus always gives you the same response, and that response is to go and down a bottle of wine, or to have a screaming match with somebody, or to chuck yourself back into work, or to make that bulletin at 10 o'clock at night, or to pick up a phone call when you're off sick, or grieving. There's actually, between the stimulus of the phone ringing or the email pinging and the response, the choice you make, that it's all about choices. I can't, that for me, looking at the book on the shelf there, if anyone's not read it, The Choice by Edith Eger, sorry. She was a survivor of the Holocaust, of one of the POWs, and she writes about that just so beautifully in her autobiography, the choices that we have. You can have a choice to let it define you, or you can have the choice to define yourself. And I feel if people like her and Viktor Frankl said that, then I feel that's my permission to do the same.
Absolutely. So each day you get up, it sounds like you are pretty clear on your purpose and your plan of action for the day. Is there something that you do to prepare for each day?
Yeah, I have a cup of tea. You've got to have a brew to start the day, right? Before I check my phone or any of that shenanigans, I have my cup of tea. I feed my dog. I feed my cat. If my kids are up, then I'll feed my kids. They might be having a little line. Sometimes I love sneaking down. But we're coming to the end of summer here, but it's light in the morning. I love sneaking down with my cup of tea and sitting on my garden swing outside. And then I feel like some sort of rubbish Dr. Dolittle as the two furry creatures come at me. I'm there with my break. And then I do try and do mindfulness things like have an intent for the day, but I know I diarise my day. I know what's coming up with my day, but
Yeah.
it's just that moment of pause and giving myself that little gift of a hot cup of tea and then my usual breakfast, or smoothie that I have. And, actually eating breakfast. God, I didn't even used to eat breakfast. I used to have a cigarette. Yeah.
I actually don't eat breakfast, so.
Oh, but when I was teaching, I gave up smoking at my late 30s, but when I first went to teaching, I didn't have any breakfast, and I'd go around the back of the sports hall and have a fag.
Would you?
Yummy.
Mm.
And it's just not looking after myself at all. Some days I want to eat until I got in at 5 o'clock. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's
Well,
the narrative, isn't it? If you're working hard, you're doing good.
I see teachers walking and eating the lunch on yard, and they don't even know the processing the food that they're putting in the mouth. It's just,
Yeah. Oh, I've done that.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I just did it the other day, to be fair, just because I actually wanted to sit. But if I put my own science head on, I'm like, no, I should actually be sitting and enjoying the food, not just the peace and quiet that goes on without eating on its own, Yeah, crazy.
I'm actually chewing appropriately to aid digestion.
Yeah, 25 times. Chew 25 times.
Is it 25 times?
Oh, it's something like 20. Yeah, you should be chewing 20 to 25 times. But things that are sugary and fast foods, they don't require that much chewing, and that's why they're bad for you as well.
That's the
Hence why it's
conversation, isn't it? You could probably can a burger in 4 bites. That's not good.
Yeah. No. And if the burger you put in the cupboard and keep it there for 5 years stays the same, then you've got a problem, because all natural stuff has a life and should go off, right? But there you go. That's a different episode within itself.
I mean,
before we come to the end then, Natalie, before I ask you if you think we've missed anything that we need to talk about, just with your job and what you do on a daily basis, just with your time to talk therapy, is there a case study, obviously without mentioning names, of course, privacy, but is this a particular journey that a client that you've helped and just is a highlight that you could share with us, where they came from and completely transformed when they left you? It's always nice to share those positive journeys, as well as yours.
Yeah, I just think that what I do is a huge privilege, and it's that penny drop moment for people, because not everyone is in the position to make those 180 changes.
No,
they're not. That maybe they're not ready, but it's when you open the space for somebody to actually say, I need, or I feel. Those are the huge moments for me. And like a post I did yesterday on my Instagram about 2 clients that I've been working with for some time now, who they're ready to go and look at it a little bit more systemically. Like, where did this start? What? And with one in particular, a real wounded child there that needs to be held in the present. And knowing that we're on that journey now is really exciting, and I've worked with other clients that have done similar work, and how they've been able to have self-compassion. It's remarkable how many adults don't ever realise that the bullying they experienced at school has helped shape how they view themselves now and the way they view work. So yeah, me and my friend who's a therapist too, we always say, oh, do you know what? We've definitely got a couple of books in us. But yeah, that's the moment though, really, when you see okay. When you see people start to know thyself, that's it. That's the biggie for me.
Love it. Okay, before I ask my 3 final questions, if there's anything that you think we've missed of your journey that you think we should share, is there anything? Or have we covered everything, do you think, Nat?
I think for today we've covered everything. There's there's some very personal stuff from right at the beginning, which I think maybe is definitely for another time, because
you're not there yet.
Oh no, I'm very much there, and I've done a lot of the work on that. I just think that I might need lunch and you might need to go to bed.
Oh no, I'm not worried about that. If you think we've missed it, anything that might have missed off my notes that I can't see and I'm not aware of.
I think it's like for me, it's around my journey, but then also the sort of social-political things that I feel around poverty and what's happening in our country now around economics. Um,
Well,
I think
please,
that's,
no,
yeah.
this is your stage. Let's talk about it then.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I think I'd actually like to give some real time to prepare something
Okay.
on that. So it's kind of, I've articulated in way I want it to land. Because I feel that people's, class is something you're born into. It's not something that you decide exists. It's a social construct. And the class in which you are born into or aspire to be part of is so instrumental in how you perceive yourself in ways that I think, well, for one, I know it's not discussed by most people.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that unless you have that inquiry, unless your class has affected you in some particular way, you're quite blind to it. People think they know their parenting or their parentage rather has an impact on their formulation of the self. Teachers, important adults, siblings, bullying, things like that. But actually, there's social economic structures that are in place and the impact that has on the self, not just to young people in the formulation of the self, but as adults living within this structure. I think that it's still something that people don't really talk about in therapy. They don't talk about finances. And it's
Do you bring it up?
main motivator for us.
Do you bring it up? Is it a topic that you bring up, or is it not something you do?
If it's appropriate for the client work, and I think that they're talking around that, but I'm not a coach, so it's directed therapy at the client's need, really. Yeah. So if it doesn't aid me in understanding the client's issue, I won't open that door. It's not for me to know, because if it's not open freely, it could be that there's a feeling of judgment there.
Yeah.
And people assume things about me. I remember one learner from my last cohort last year made this huge assumption about me that, did you go to a private grammar school? And, what do your mum and dad do? And, were they teachers as well? Or did they? And I said, you don't know me at all. You couldn't be so far from my story if you tried.
Tell them to watch the podcast.
Yeah. But I mean, I gave her like a potted history. She went, why did I think that? I went, why did you think that? And it was interesting. And I think for me, do you know what the irony was, actually, Andy? The irony was that I'd got so good at creating the mask that when I didn't need it anymore, people had finally started to see me in the false way. And when I became authentic, when I could actually say, oh God, no, God, this is my story. Blah, have it for free. There you go. I'm done. Yeah, I'm good with this, I could actually do it. So the irony was that everything that I thought I needed, I got it. It's so weird, isn't it? How weird is that?
Yeah.
So weird.
So did you get to the bottom of why she thought that, though?
Oh yeah, it was just like huge stereotypical assumptions about people's class, but within and educational experiences, and within her own shame of not having certain educational experiences. So I thought she was very middle class. We had these terrible assumptions about each other that were actually so out of whack, but were impacting on how we communicated with each other. Because we just don't talk about it openly. You don't talk about what you earn, and you don't talk about who you vote for.
I'm quite open about who I vote for. I'm not bothered.
Yeah, me too. And I bet you know it's not reform from this podcast. There you go. But yeah,
I don't even know how the UK politics work anymore, to be honest. Not been there for that long.
Working? Is it working, Andy? You use the word working there. I don't know. But yeah.
That's funny.
But no, so I think I've shared everything for today. Thank you for the space.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Well, I ask a question about future plans because, as you mentioned before, just because we're here talking doesn't mean we've made it. Doesn't mean this is it and we're filing on going into the heavens and it's beautiful. We're still going to find our losses. We're still going to go into our dips here and there. But what are your future plans going forward?
So obviously I want to keep, sustaining my private practice. I love that, and I want to keep lecturing counselling because I really love that. Teaching's a huge part of my identity. Now it's on my own terms, in my own way. There's some sort of exciting projects that I've reached out to a number of schools in Manchester about, that I'd like to teach active listening skills and some soft counselling skills to pastoral and teaching staff to communicate better with young people.
Beautiful.
Because I feel from all my experiences, a lot of young people are misunderstood and misheard, and it's not taught in your teaching practice. You think children hear what you're saying without understanding that they've literally not finished being built yet. So that's not going to work. And the way the education system is designed in this country does not, it's not built for the outliers, for people who are, perhaps neurodiverse, or people who are going through stuff, people that are just going through stuff, kids that need some support with that. And then an idea that's really embryonic is that I want to put together a counselling cooperative. So it'd be a group of counsellors with similar modality but similar ethics, and around making counselling affordable for people. Non-hierarchical, so it would be a sense of equality within this group of practitioners. But that's in a really embryonic stage. But the core of it is to make mental health more accessible, because the waiting lists in the NHS are just massive, and therapy is expensive. So I want to see how that might pan out.
Okay, so Natalie, if there's a bit of general piece of advice based on our journey today, our conversation today on Leading Our Own Way, just because you've given so many pieces of snippets and gems that people will be able to take away, but if you could just give one big powerful piece of just a general piece of advice, what would that be?
Well, and it's not even huge. It's just about, you can't control other people's thoughts about you. So I always thought that other people, if they had this perception of me, it would change how I feel about myself. But that doesn't work. So you have no influence over them. There's nothing you can do that's going to have an influence over how they feel about you in the way you want them to. So all you can control is how you choose to show up, how you respond. So those choices about the stimulus, and how you choose to live, really, in a meaningful way for you. And the choices that we have are actually our superpower. That's what it is. It's all about our choices.
Beautiful. Love it. Absolutely. I've said that many times on the episode, actually, and even when I've talked to other people as an observation from the snippets, if I sum up all of my guests together, it comes down to one word, and it is choices. And it's powerful that you say that. Reaffirms what I think is, in my head, correct, I suppose. So my final question, Nat, it's fairly obvious what your purpose is, but I always ask the guest to put it into one powerful line. What would you say your purpose is, Natalie?
I think my purpose really is the importance of sharing, the importance of self-compassion. The purpose, and people can have some self-compassion for themselves, to know themselves, to understand themselves, and therefore to be kind to themselves, really. As I said really early on, that we are our first cheerleader and champion, our first real love affair. And we must be compassionate to ourselves.
Natalie, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been more beautiful to reconnect with you, especially being on my part of my journey. And you just wanting to be a part of it means the absolute world. So I really appreciate that, Natalie.
I just thought it was amazing, Andy, what you're doing, the guests that you're having on, for them to share where they've been and where they are and where they want to go. So thank you for your time. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I can't wait for everybody to hear this episode.
Me too.
Beautiful. Well, Natalie, thank you so much. From Natalie and myself to everybody else, keep leading your own way. I can't wait for you to see the next guest next week. But until then, keep leading your own way and have a great weekend. So from Natalie and myself, enjoy.
Bye.
Make good choices. Bye. Bloody hell, Natalie. Bloody hell. I mean, where do I even start? The courage you've shown in sharing your story, from growing up in the poverty of Manchester to navigating MS to becoming a single mum and still finding ways to help others. It's just incredible. It really is, Natalie. So thank you for joining me on my journey. Thanks for bringing your family in as well, because you have a beautiful family. It's absolutely stunning, and I'm glad you found love as well. You know what really strikes me though? Here we are, 2 kids from Denton who've both found our way into helping people, just through different paths. Your journey from teaching though to therapy, your insights about self-awareness and healing, and your vision for making mental health more accessible is exactly why I started this podcast. And that bit about teaching active listening skills in schools, well, I think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, because the world needs more people like you now. It really does. You know, who aren't afraid to be vulnerable, to share their truth, and to turn their pain into purpose. For everyone listening though, if Nat's story has resonated with you, please share this episode. Leave us a review. Hit that subscribe button and keep on an eye out for next week's episode. I'm going to be putting the Tuesday Truths is a brand new segment as well. I'll be pulling all the most impactful moments from each conversation. These Tuesday Truths, though, hopefully have become something really special. I've got something new that probably is already out by now, but I won't mention it just in case I didn't decide to, because I'm 3 months ahead of scheduling. Probably too far. But anyway, I do think the Tuesday Truths capture the essence of each episode and give you those powerful takeaways that you can just carry with you. Now, thank you so much for being so open and honest. It's been an absolute, and I mean absolute, privilege having you on my show. And to everyone else, until next time, keep leading your own way. Make some good choices. I'll see you then. Have a great weekend. Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.